One of the questions that people ask me when they first find out that I'm a debater is, what do you think of the way President Trump debates? Well, President Trump, according to analysis given by CNN, uses fourth grade level language. But to be honest, as a debater, I actually think that he's a pretty clever speaker. He uses words to his advantage so that he can plant the emotion he wants people to feel in their minds. His words are emotionally Latin and cunningly disguised. He isn't lying, but at the same time, the truth seems somehow shady. He may seem extreme and radical at times, but that's what brought him the position of the President of the United States, and the state's unique way of how election works, but putting that aside. There are times in life where we have to face people like him, who are cunning, who are devious, who are extreme. Maybe you've already have had to, and you felt that you couldn't confront other people, or you didn't know how to, for that matter. Well, I stand up here to tell you that you can, because in all of us lies a debater. Debate is something that isn't far away from our lives. Utilize the debater side of us, and you can achieve great success. All of us have the ability to question our surroundings. We are all questioners, whether it be about the credibility of the news, the reliability of the book, or the logicality behind an argument. I previously mentioned that President Trump is a pretty clever speaker. He knows how to play with our unconsciousness. He utilizes tools like social media ads or fake news to unconsciously plant in the US citizens' minds the picture that he wanted to paint in the elections. Here's an example. The issue of fake news and social media ads has been on the rise ever since President Trump came into office. And he himself also directly addressed this issue in his ongoing, never-ending, one and only daily journal called Twitter. We're fooled by these fake news or social media ads. And some people say that because we know the existence of fake news, that we should be skeptical and that we shouldn't believe everything the news tells us. But at the same time, there are people who feel reluctant because of the way social media and the information deceives us, and therefore feel powerless when confronting it. When we have to be critical, there needs to be a line. And what's important is that we are all naturally trained to ask these whys or whats. Why is this information important to us? Or what is this information implying for us? Or what is the purpose behind this certain ad? And there are times when we have to ask those questions, and our lifelong journey of asking and acquiring these knowledge has started ever since when we were young, when we started to play the why game with our parents. So we used to ask the questions like, Mommy, why is the sky blue? Or Daddy, why is the snow cold? Now, what's important is that when we ask these whys or whats, and when you question the information that is presented to us, that we're not only solely skeptical. Reasonable suspicion. This means that we know when to believe and when not to believe, when to be skeptical and when not to be skeptical. So I urge you to find that curious side of you where you want to logically analyze an information, where you want to critically explore the information that lies in front of you. But also, what's important is that we're not only reasonably suspicious, but when we feel that something is fishy or suspicious, that we are actually confident enough to voice that opinion to other people. This may be to a group of your friends, but it may also be to a larger audience, like how I'm addressing you all right now. 8 years ago, I was a girl who had an extreme fear of public speaking. And to be honest, this is something that I would never have imagined trying when I was 10 years old. But yet, here I stand in front of all of you. I remember when I first started debating. It was in Canada, and my first topic ever was about banning junk food in schools. Now, when I went up to the podium, I was so afraid of speaking and debating that I stood up there for 4 solid minutes without saying a word, and I was silent the whole time. Afterwards, I ran off to Chuck E. Cheese, stood in the corner, hiding and crying. That night, I told my mom that I never wanted to go back to debate again. But what really changed me was my tutor. I was studying at the library, and she came up to me, looked me in the eye, and told me that she believed in me. And also that I need to realize that the power and the key to stand back up again lies solely in myself. She also told me a tip that when I'm nervous and too nervous that I can't confront the audience that stands in front of me, that I should picture everyone in their underwears. Now, this tip really did help me, but it's not only about the underwear that counts. But what was more important for me was that she said that she believed in me. And afterwards, when I started to debate on and on, I decided to be more confident in myself because I realized that if I don't believe in myself, no one ever will. Now, to be honest, although this fear of public speaking did pass away from me, there are always times when it occasionally comes back. And you know what I do? I try to picture every one of you in your underwear. But that's not the only thing I do. First and foremostly, I try to remember that, again, the key to standing back up lies in myself. And this confidence of believing in myself has always had my back throughout my life. I urge you, again, to be confident, to find that confident debater that lies inside of you. Because if you don't believe in yourself, no one ever will. Socrates once said that humans by nature are social beings. And in the age of developing technology and in the age where we're surrounded by thousands of people, some of them who we know and some of them who we don't know, it's practically impossible to isolate ourselves from other people. And we have to continuously interact with other people when doing so. And while we're interacting with other people, why don't we help other people? Because I know that we all have experiences of helping other people and also being helped by others. A few months ago, I went to a debate workshop in Singapore where I pressured myself a lot. I pressured myself to be the best, and I pressured myself to do really well. Now, don't get me wrong, pressure isn't a bad thing because it makes you to stretch out of your comfort zone and to strive for the better. But when that pressure becomes so extreme that it breaks you down, that's when the problem occurs. So in Singapore, I kept failing and I kept freaking out. On the plane to Singapore, I had butterflies in my stomach. And the night before the actual workshop, I kept twisting and turning in my hotel bed, restless and unable to sleep. And that morning, when the debate workshop did actually happen, I kept panicking and I was thinking to myself that I shouldn't be crying. But regardless, tears were already welled up in my eyes. Now, if my story really stopped here, then I don't think I would be able to come up here and tell you that you all need to find that confidence or that criticism of a debater that lies inside of you. But that story doesn't stop there. What's more important is what happened next. My coach took me to her room that night, sat me down on her bed, and told me that she wanted me to believe in myself. The words were short, but that really struck me because remember that this isn't the first time I've heard of such a thing. Furthermore, there were always teammates by my side who were comforting me, who were asking me not to freak out, who were trying to go on this debating journey with me. And there I realized that performance isn't about pressuring myself, it's more about sharing the burdens. Now, all of you, or most of you at least, probably lived much longer than me. You have more life experiences than I do, and you've been to many more places than I've ever been to. But I know that we all share those experiences where sometimes we just want to let go and give up, where we want to step down from the thin tightrope that we're standing on, eagerly step down and go around crying. But what's important to remember is that we're all survivors. We all survived up to this day. And I'm sure that we'll always continue to do so until the day we rest. We passed all those life's tests, and what's important is that we all did it together, and we'll continue to do it together for the rest of our lives. I, again, through my experience as a debater, realized that performances and success isn't solely about being critical. It's not only about pushing yourself or pulling yourself. It's also about realizing when to be skeptical, when not to be skeptical, when to believe and when not to believe. But most importantly, I realized that it's about sharing your burdens with others and also being willing to share their burdens and lift the heaviness of their shoulders onto yours. We are all debaters. And I hope that by now you've all realized that debate isn't something that it's in a faraway fairy tale land. And I hope that now you feel that debate is something that lies around all of you, that's something that's close to your hearts. And I sincerely hope that now you feel the urge to find and go explore the inside of you, to find that hiding debater. Be critical and be reasonably suspicious. Be confident and take care of yourself. But more importantly, be willing to share the burdens with other people. Remember that we are all survivors, and be proud of what you are and what you have become. When you find that form of your own debater inside of you, that's when life will give you the power to not only step up to the base, but also to swing the bat and to hit a home run. Thank you.